Hey guys, Swamp Witch here, and today we're gonna be, well, not, well, we're, before, before the story, if you enjoyed this story, submit your story to the email that's on the screen right now. And above it is the user who's allowing me to read this story. Their name is on the screen as well. And hopefully you enjoy. And if you do enjoy, check them out on Reddit, and yeah, so let's get into it. Creepy X. Before I start this story, I want to say a few things. Firstly, this is an expansion on a recent Reddit creepy PMS post of mine. I thought it might be a good idea to have a sort of master post with the backstory and all my updates to keep things easier to follow, and so that I have this all written down somewhere in case more trouble happens. If this isn't right for the sub, please let me know. Secondly, English is not my first language, and storytelling is not my strong point, so please excuse me if this is difficult to read, and understand at any point. Third, I have some backstory to go over, but I'll keep it quick and give you the basic details. I'm 18 and my ex-boyfriend is 23. We dated for about 3 months, and then 2 months ago I decided we weren't compatible for various reasons, a major one of which was that he didn't respect my religious belief. I'm Christian, and the main part he didn't understand was that I wouldn't sleep with him before marriage. Our relationship seemed good, although it was my first relationship, so I don't know a lot to base it off. And he always seemed like a good person. Our breakup wasn't amicable enough. He wanted to stay friends, which pretty consisted of texting each other small talk, meeting up occasionally, etc. More like acquaintances than real friends, I suppose. But the point is, we didn't fall out, and there weren't any particular red flags before about 2 weeks ago when we had a bit of an argument. It was Sunday, so I went to church as usual, and to my surprise, he came to meet me afterwards. We set off walking back to my house, and he rolled his eyes at me and said something along the lines of, "I can't believe someone like you would buy into rubbish like that." Honestly, even if he was joking, the fact that he wasn't even making an effort to tolerate my beliefs, he could have just said nothing about them. I didn't bring it up, bug me a little, and I told him so. His response, "Yeah, well, I'm not gonna like it if it's the reason I haven't stuck my dick in you yet." I wasn't at all prepared for him to say that, and I was just shocked and disgusted that he was being like this after we had tried to have a normal friendship. So I just walked away from him. I couldn't think of anything to say, so I sped up and walked away. He caught up with me and tried to put his arm around me, telling me to be honest because He knew I wanted him. I pretty much shoved him off and ran the rest of the way back home. Almost straight afterwards, he texted me an apology, which I ignored for a while I tried to calm down, then replied to with, "Fine, just please don't say things like that in the future." And I genuinely believed he wouldn't. A little dumb, I know, but he had always seemed pleasant before his apology seemed genuine. And I'll confess, I may have been soft-touched where he was concerned, seeing as I still cared about him and had regretted breaking up with him a few times since we broke up. Anyway, things settled back down to normal for about 3 days, then he messaged me again saying he still wanted me. Before I could reply, he sent an apology, and I reaffirmed that I only wanted to be friends with him. Now, that's when he decided to flip the crazy switch on me. I received a string of texts telling me that a platonic relationship wasn't going to work. We should be friends with benefits because he had to have sex at some point, promptly followed by a request to meet up. I thought the best response to that level of sudden weirdness that had caught me off guard was no response at all, which usually a pretty clear no. If everything I had said before hadn't been, he didn't stop. Even after about an hour's silence from me. In fact, he got creepier. He accused me of teasing him, and then he said that we were going to have sex whether I was playing his game or not. At this point, I was pretty panicky because he was starting to sound like he was going to rape me. But I tried to calmly respond in case I was getting things out of my hand in my head and reading it out wrong. Or in case he was genuinely thinking I was just playing hard to get. So on the off chance it was misunderstanding, I spelled it out for him, telling him clearly I was ignoring because I wasn't interested. His follow-up to that chilled me to the bone. He accused me of being a phrase for a female dog that I'm not typing because let's keep this clean. Because I was mad about Sunday still, then told me if I didn't go to meet him, he was going to come around when you're home alone and get what I want. At this point, I felt like I didn't know him at all anymore, and I couldn't predict if he was serious or not. So I got scared and decided I should get the police involved. I told him that as much in hope he'd back off now. But he didn't. He just seemed to find it funny and told me that by the time they managed to do anything, he'll be mine. At this point, I thought I was safe in my home, and I got out. Well, I put the post online first because I wanted some evidence if I really didn't make it to the police. Then packed some emergency things and drove to my parents' house. And address my ex was thankfully unaware of. Once I was there, I showed my father the message I'd been sent, and he took me to the police station for moral support. And because he was very angry at the time, the police did drive-bys of my house at that night because we were concerned about break-ins after threats to come and get me. But happily, no one tried to break in. Even so, they took my exes in for questioning in the morning. A police officer handling this got in touch much later that day and told me they had adequate evidence from me detaining and questioning him. I gather he basically admitted it wasn't very repentant about it for me to press charges. Currently planning to charge him with sexual harassment and threatening behavior. After that, he was released on bail with conditions not to contact me. I wish I could say that's the end of it, but I'm suspicious that he has contacted me 2 days after the original texts were sent. I worked the breakfast shift at the cafe I work in, and not long after I arrived, some flowers with a card were delivered. The delivery person had clearly been giving my name since he asked for me by name. The card was the creepy card, though it was a written to order thing and probably toned down quite a bit in comparison to what he might have written personally, but it made my skin crawl. First off, it started by calling love, referred to this incident just a falling out apology. Like, that would make me feel better. But then said I should apologize to him too because we both took it too far. Then said I'd be happy if we got together, but it wasn't signed by me. But it isn't hard to tell who it is. But I don't have evidence, so I don't know if I can say that he's violated his bail conditions. I didn't report it to the police, but they didn't have much they could do either, given the lack of proof it was his. I've also had similar issues with social media. Some weird Facebook friends requests I've deleted that I think were from him, etc. But nothing serious, thankfully. All I can really say to finish this, or at least hopefully finish this, since I'm praying this is a non-ongoing story, is Creepy X. I've got my pepper spray, and I'm staying with my parents, where I can reach my dad's gun. So it's probably in both our interests not to meet again until I take you to court, that is. Edit. I've added the updates in the comments below, but I've received messages from people who have missed important bits of information, so I'll be adding the rest of the story here. Hopefully that's okay with everyone. Here, sorry if it feels like you're seeing the same stuff over and over again. The first thing I had to add is that following the advice of some of the wonderful people on here I called the florist, who sent me the gift and explained the situation. The person on the end of line was actually quite snotty about it and told me they didn't give personal information, whether I had boyfriend troubles or not. So I spoke to the police officer handling my case, who, by the way, couldn't have been better, very understanding and professional at the same time. And he went into the shop in person Needless to say, they do give out customer details if a policeman asks, and surprise, surprise, it was my ex. So that counts as bail violation, since he was told not to contact me, and he is back in custody for the time being. Another more recent update, 3 days after he was taken into custody again, I went back to my usual residence, seeing as he wasn't a threat anymore. I was still nervous though, so I went with my dad. When we got it, was evident that a lot of mail had been shoved through the letter box while I was away. Some of it was genuine stuff, but most of it reams and reams of crumpled paper not sent via the mail. As none of it was in any envelopes, and it looked as though someone had just shoved it in. There was also a small parcel bundled up in gift paper, but with no labels, which set off alarm bells, especially after I read some of those letters. They basically read like him going mental on pages and pages of rambling about how we're meant to be. He can't live without me. And I'm being silly, selfish, and stupid for not giving him a second chance. One part sticks in my mind, where he swore he wasn't going to let this go, no matter what. After that, I was super uncomfortable and not sure I wanted to stay there, even though he was in custody and I was pretty much safe. I put off committing to stay or leaving, and just hung out with my dad for a while, deliberately not opening the parcel. I wasn't sure I wanted to know what kind of thing he sent me. After that, I'd read, but eventually I did open it. That's how I decided to go back to my parents' home for a while, just for comfort, because inside was a small box wrapped in a couple of layers of paper. The paper was another long rambling letter that unnerved me. He went to great lengths to tell me that although we all make mistakes and both of us took it too far, he would love me forever, and if I apologize to him and stop acting stupid, we can just forget what happened between us and start over again as husband and wife. His words there, not mine. Yes, he seriously proposed to me like that. Yes, the box had an engagement ring in it. It's a pretty ring, but I know I'd never be comfortable wearing it. No, I'm not going to marry him. I'm going to add this to the growing list of evidence I'm showing the police and the court. So, alright guys, that was the story. I know I had a couple mess ups in reading. I can't really read long paragraphs because of the stutters. I'm not sure if you heard them. It was hard for me to read without stuttering. And yeah, so like I said, if you guys want to share your stories, email on the screen. The creator's name is on the screen. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Sorry for the bad, like, the mess ups